All right, greetings everybody, and welcome to week number 15. That is right, week number 15 of your 9407 class, which is your intellectual freedom in its discontents class. As always, I'm your professor, Dr. Jace K. Austin, and the first thing I want to say is you made it. This is the last week of the class. Now, we do have exams and that sort of thing going on, and so you do have final papers that are due a week from today. I am recording this on December the 4th, and your final paper will be due on December the 11th. If you participated in the debate, you do not have to do the final exam. The final paper. But for those of you who did not participate in the debate, yes, I will be looking for your final papers next week, and I am excited to read them and see what really made you passionate about what we talked about in this class. If anything, hopefully something did. But yes, I first want to just congratulate you all for making it through the course. I know that this is a course that people either really, really like or really, really hate, because it is a course where we talk about a lot of tough subject matter. It is a course where people are likely to get offended and they have to work through their offense. And there are several other things about this course that can make it a bit more intense than some of the other courses in our catalog. But I think that for the most part, you all did perfectly well. Given where you were and given what was in front of you with this class. And now you can take solace in the fact that you have made it through and you can enjoy a nice winter break. At least I'm hoping that you all will be enjoying a nice winter break. And I know some of you are graduating this semester. So to those of you who are graduating, I say congratulations to you. All right, now as far as state of the course updates, what I will say is, again, you do have your final paper that is due on December the 11th, and then also you do have a discussion board prompt that is due on the 8th related to comedy, and the 8th is Friday, which is reading day, okay? So you have these things coming up, and so I hope you are going to be ready to take a stab at intellectual freedom and comedy, because that's what we're talking about this week. And then also, I hope you are passionate enough about something to write that long paper, turn it into me, and then say, whew, I made it, 3 credits, and now I can enjoy my winter break. But there are a few other things that I do need to mention. First of all, as far as say the course, yes, my schedule is just more random, I should say, than it has been in the past. The things that contribute to that are me now being a homeowner. This is my first semester as a homeowner. Me having a 3-year-old. My daughter has become increasingly more active at 3 than she was at 1 or 2. And so that plays with my schedule a little bit. And then also, I am, as I mentioned in a check-in video before, I am the vice president / president-elect of the Black Caucus of the American Library Association, and that throws some wrenches into my schedule. Sorry if that sounds like I'm making a bunch of excuses, but I say all that to say, yes, it's not always possible for me to get things up right away, and so, yes, optimally, the survey on who won our intellectual freedom debate should have went out like the night or the next night, so either Tuesday night or Wednesday night, so that you all could make scores, but I wasn't able to get that up until this past weekend. However, I see that several of you have already responded to the survey. If you have not and you remember the survey, and you remember the debate, please, by all means, go ahead and access the survey, complete it out. And for those of you who did participate in the debate, of course, you know you don't need to bother with any of that, but probably around Friday or Saturday, I am going to email you all and share the comments with you all. Also, around Friday or Saturday, I am going to make an announcement with the scores of who the class thinks won the debate. Now, I will say that I thought both teams did very, very well. Especially given that they had less time than my previous courses did. So I have kudos for everyone, and I never actually say who I think won the debate, but I can say that this past semester, or a few days ago, I do feel that we had I'm not going to say that I felt we had a tie, but we had sort of a neck and neck sort of debate performance, in my opinion. So I feel that even if one side did win they didn't win by a lot. But that's all I'm going to say from my perspective. And certainly I think that all of you probably could have run a few circles around me as a debater. So again, I am very pleased with the work that you all did. I am very pleased with the work that has appeared in this class throughout the semester. All right, and then that is it as far as state of the course updates. All I'm going to say now is, again, we do have the intellectual freedom and comedy discussion board prompt here. Let me just scroll down until I get here. Okay. In that way, I will not, as I told you all before, I book in this class so that the discussion board prompts in the first week and the last week are a little bit lighter than what you see sandwiched in between the internal 13 weeks. And so, yes, we are doing intellectual freedom and comedy this week. But one thing that I will say about that is that I have very strong opinions on intellectual freedom and comedy. Quite frankly, this is where I think part of the battle on intellectual freedom needs to be fought, is within the comedic realm, because what I worry about is people who are going to let me say this. First of all, I'll just come out and admit it. I am with the South Park philosophy of either everything is okay to joke about or nothing is. That is the way I see it. As far as what is and is not okay to discuss in polite company, as they say. Yes, I'm very much, when it's not about jokes, when it's just about discussion, I am all about exercising some restraint when it comes to discussing politics or discussing religion or discussing some of these social issues like race and gender and sexual orientation and gender identity and those sorts of things. I will use restraint in those areas, and certainly I've already spoke about how I use restraint. I do not talk at all about whether or not I'm pro-Palestine or pro-Israel or what the case may be. I don't talk about that at all. And the reason I don't is because when we're having discussions, I like to use that restraint, because if talks are not going to be productive, then I don't see any reason to have them, right? I hate to say it like that, but that's just where I am with it. But when it comes to comedy, productive isn't about having a discussion and learning and trying to decide what is and isn't right. Comedy, I feel at least, comedy has its place, stand-up comedy in particular has its place in just kind of lampooning what's going on with humanity, what's going on with the earth even, because not all comedy is focused on humans, but what's going on in the planet or whatever. Comedy, to me, stand-up comedy is about being able to talk about these things, being able to talk about the absurdities of them, being able to talk about how these things may defy common sense. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're wrong if they defy common sense, because common sense can be a result of our biases, right? It can be the fruit of our biases and preset agendas and those sorts of things. But basically, I think comedy is a way to, stand-up comedy is a way to try to break down barriers and allow us to have a good laugh with each other, because none of us are perfect. None of us' demographics are perfect. And so there are things that can be made fun of. And I tell people all the time, yes, I will laugh at a black joke told by a white comedian if the joke is good. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm not one of these people that is always, I'm not one of these people that's on the defense about such concepts as punching down and things like that. I understand people who are, but, you could make the argument that a white comedian making black jokes is punching down, and, even if it is, good comedy is good comedy if it makes me laugh and if it has some thought in it, and if it wasn't just some low grade stupid joke, but it was something that was clever, Like, okay, yes, I like that. I like that. So I say all that to say that intellectual freedom actually does need to, I think that here's how I put it. I think that the intellectual freedom war will be officially lost if stand-up comedy that makes fun of groups, whatever demographics, it can be race, it can be gender, it can be those sorts of things. I think that intellectual freedom will be officially lost if stand-up comedy that makes fun of these groups is ever quote unquote outlawed. Now, we don't outlaw hate speech in this country right now anyway, but if stand-up comedy gets outlawed as hate speech in a future where hate speech does not have First Amendment freedoms and protections, if that future comes and that future results in the penalization of stand-up comedians by law, then yes, I think we will have officially lost, okay? And so a place that I kind of have to go there is that I think what we need to do is get to a point, and this is going to be very controversial. So everybody in the class may disagree with me on this, and if you do, just tell me. It's all good. It's not going to affect your grade to disagree with me. But I think that what we need to do is, in order to preserve intellectual freedom, or in order to preserve some forms of intellectual freedom, particularly intellectual freedom within comedy, one thing that we have to do is I think we've got to separate offense and harm. And I know that's not going to be a popular opinion, but that is where I'm at. I don't think that you're being offended is necessarily you being harmed, okay? And that goes against how we feel in this society a lot. But I just feel that, for me, I feel that a harm incurred, certainly if you get punched in the face or something like that, that is a physical harm incurred. And harms don't have to be physical. They can be mental and emotional. And in fact, emotional harms can certainly also, and mental harms can certainly also take a toll on your physicality. So all of this is kind of linked. But when somebody tells me, hey, that joke offended me, to me, that does not necessarily mean you were harmed. If you were offended for a few seconds, I don't necessarily feel that you were substantially harmed. And especially, people can get offended over anything. Everybody has unique triggers. I have unique triggers. There are things that trigger me and offend me that people had no idea that it was going to offend me and had no reason to think it was going to offend me, but it did. And that's because my offense is kind of a personal thing, okay? But one thing, even if I say, hey, I'm offended, if you say some shit that causes me to feel offense, I might say I'm offended, but my offense for a few seconds is still not going to cause me to say I have been harmed, and now I need to take some sort of retaliatory action, whether that's to boycott whoever offended me, or try to get whoever offended me fired, or whatever the case may be, write a letter advocating that the person who offended me not be allowed to perform at a venue. I don't know. There could be a lot of things that I do in response to being offended, but at the end of the day, my offense isn't necessarily me being harmed. Now, yes, if you punch me in the face, you have harmed me. And there are certain things that even if you just merely say them to me, utter them to me, they can be harmful to me. Certainly calling me the N-word, that's probably going to get your nose broken. But yes, that's something that causes harm to me. That's a fighting word. But when it comes to, if you tell a black joke and you're not black and I'm offended by the black joke that you told, I'm not necessarily harmed. I'm sorry, but I'm not. I have, one joke that I heard, and I went to a very white college for undergrad, UNC Wilmington in Wilmington, North Carolina, very, very white school. And one thing that I heard my freshman year was, I'm overhearing a joke, and two of my classmates are joking, and one classmate is like, okay, so what do you call a it was something about what are when white angels become humans, what are they? Cute white babies. When Asian angels become human, what are they? Cute little Asian babies. When black angels become humans, what are they? Not human, damn black bats. That was the joke. And it was stupid. And yes, I was offended. I did not incur any harm. I just didn't. It was stupid. I was offended. I still remember it, so clearly I was offended. But at the same time, did I cause harm? I mean, did it cause me harm? I was able to walk out of that class that day. I was able to not have to talk. I haven't seen, I don't think I've seen either of those boys since I finished that course, and that course was like back in 2002 or something like that. So I say all that to say, yes, your offense is just not necessarily harm. It's just not. But people, and I say it's just not as if it's fact, but that's an opinion. And a lot of you may disagree with me, and you may come with, things that say, well, hey, microaggression theory shows that microaggressions actually start to take physical tolls on people. And so, yes, that's harm. But I think microaggressions go a little bit beyond offense. And so that's something that we need to have some discussions about in intellectual freedom circles. And so hopefully some of you all at least, will be part of those discussions. Anyway, that's my time. Why else do I need to say anything other than I've really enjoyed you all and really enjoyed this class. And for those of you who are graduating, congratulations. And those of you who are not graduating, I hope I have you in another class. Let's just keep it at that. I am Dr. Jace, and within a few weeks, your grade will be in place. So be checking my Zoo. But most of you have A's. There are a few B's that are going to come, but the overwhelming majority of you have A's because you've done a fantastic job. Y'all take care.